ClancyPasta presents It's Safer with the Lights Off, written by Cannatelli and narrated by Clancy. Mom, can we keep the nightlight on? Deanna asked as her mother tucked her into bed for what must have been the 7th time. Deanna's mother put her long manicured nails in her hair and scratched repeatedly. This was a common gesture from Mrs. Perez when she became exasperated. She wore her typical satin green pajamas and a sleep mask on her head, pushed just above her brow line. The white paste from her nightly facial treatment had already dried and left her skin ghostly pale in comparison to her naturally tan complexion. "No, Mama," she replied, trying her best to be patient with her daughter. "You're getting older now. You're turning 10 tomorrow. You should try sleeping with the lights off." "Mom, no," Deanna begged. Tears welled up in her eyes as she tugged at her mother's heartstrings. Please no." Her mother sighed quietly. "All right, fine. But tomorrow we're going to try this again. You need rest. It's almost 11 and your party starts at 10 tomorrow." "Thanks, Mom." Deanna grinned as her mother switched on the little star-shaped nightlight next to the door. It glowed subtly in the darkness, giving Deanna a small bit of light. Her mother kissed her on the forehead once more and made her way to the door. She paused and smiled at her daughter. "My big girl," she cooed softly. 10 years old. "Good night, sweet dreams. Buenas noches. I love you." "Good night, sweet dreams. Buenas noches. I love you," Deanna repeated. This was a part of their nightly routine. Neither Deanna nor her mother could sleep without that comfort phrase. It was a tradition that had been passed down from Deanna's abuelita. The next morning came and Deanna helped her parents set up her party decorations. She always enjoyed spending time with her parents around holidays, including but not limited to her birthday. This is it, she thought. The big 1-0. Deanna contemplated changes in her life. She knew she would still go to school. She would still have the same friends and the same great life. But she wanted to be more mature. She wore her new clothes, consisting of a black dress and a pair of pumps with a half-inch heels that her mother got her for the occasion. She felt so much older since the night before. She felt like she was ready for middle school. "Mira." Her father smiled, putting his hand on her shoulder. "We're all set. Your friends get here in an hour. Come help me with the rice." Deanna smiled. "I want extra granules." "Then that's what you'll have, sweetie." He nodded. Deanna and her father loved cooking together. While her mother frosted the chocolate birthday cake, Deanna lectured her father on seasoning the rice he had been making since before she was born. Both Mr. and Mrs. Perez found this endearing. They were certain their baby girl was growing up. The children arrived and Deanna had the time of her life. It was so exciting being the oldest girl in the group of friends. She felt like the pack leader and wanted nothing more than to impress her peers with her newfound maturity. She even boasted that she wasn't going to sleep with a nightlight anymore. Presents poured in and Deanna's mother filmed the whole thing. Deanna received several new outfits and things of the sort. Ultimately, her favorite gifts were from her parents. They had saved up and bought smart plugs and an Amazon Alexa. Deanna had seen a commercial online and wanted desperately to have a smart room. She couldn't even wait until after everyone left to rush upstairs to set everything up. Her mother helped get the room sorted out, but her father seemed rather clueless as to how it all worked. When they got all the smart plugs working, he scratched his head. "Well, this is the future, I guess," he chuckled. That night, Deanna didn't fight her mother about the nightlight. She had her mother unplug it and throw it away in the kitchen. The room was flooded with blackness the moment Mrs. Perez left her alone. Deanna hid under her blankets, feeling a tinge of anxiety. This was different than the night before. Something felt wrong. Something was different. This time, there was no nightlight to be turned on. Deanna waited for her parents' bedroom door to close with a squeal before she took out her smartphone and began playing with Alexa. The volume was turned down low so her parents wouldn't hear it. If they did hear their daughter, they ignored it and went to sleep. They were trying to give her a bit more freedom in honor of her birthday. Deanna got some music playing quietly. She began to drift away to dreamland after about an hour of testing out her new smart room. Her eyelids grew heavy, like a stack of textbooks. She heard a small tapping, rapping, coming from next to her bed. She peered out from under her blankets and saw nothing in the black void that was her bedroom. She was paralyzed, afraid to ask Alexa to turn the light on. Instead, she opened the Alexa app and commanded her silently to turn the light on with the tap of a button. Feeling braver, she peeked out from under the heavy comforter and covered her mouth to prevent a scream. There, in front of her bedroom door, was what appeared to be a naked, emaciated creature. It stood upright like a person, but its long arms nearly touched the floor. The body proportions were way off. Its head was hanging down low to its chest. Its neck appeared to curve down and back up. Without thinking, Deanna quickly shut the light off in the Alexa app. Just like that, the creature was gone. Deanna assumed she just couldn't see the creature lingering in the shadows. She texted her parents for help, too afraid to let out a cry. Mr. and Mrs. Perez were exhausted from their daughter's party, and they both left their phones on silent. They didn't notice the repeated text messages coming through. Trying to be brave, Deanna threw the covers off of her and sat up abruptly. Her eyes scanned the room, but there was clearly nothing there. Deanna stood up and walked to the center of her room. She checked under her bed and in her closet, but found nothing. She wondered if she was losing her mind. She sat on the edge of her bed and giggled nervously. Maybe she had dozed off and had a nightmare. Thinking that was the case, she bravely spoke to her smart companion. "Alexa, lights on," she commanded. The room became illuminated almost instantly. Deanna's breath caught in her throat. The creature was now leaning over her, grinning to reveal a dozen rows of razor-sharp needle teeth. Finally, catching her breath, Deanna let out a guttural cry. The creature attacked in that moment, tearing Deanna to shreds before her parents could even reach her room. When they did, all they found was the bloody remains of their daughter scattered around the young girl's smart room. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed today's video. I want to give a huge thanks to all of my supporters over at Patreon and YouTube memberships. Your support makes these narrations possible, and I appreciate it a ton. If you'd like to join these lovely ghouls, you can head on over to my Patreon at patreon.com/ClancyPasta, or click the join button below to become a member. Through Patreon, you can gain access to extra videos, on-screen thanks in the end credits of every video, personal shoutouts in a special video once a month, autographed stickers, merch store discounts, exclusive Discord roles, and much, much more. And if you'd like creepy cool shirts, make sure to head on over and check out my official merch store, creepycoolshirts.com, for some awesome tees, hoodies, stickers, and more. Alright, thank you all for watching, and I hope you have a great night. Cheers.